boy, the time has come. You have the results? Well, thank you, my Jillies co-host Scarlett Chase. That's a pretty interesting outfit you chose to co-host the Jillies in. Anyway, and now to read the winner of the 2021 Jillies Award for Best Figure of the Year. And the award goes to Elite 88 Trish Stratus? Chase? Scarlett Chase, this can't be right! Whoa, wait. How am I understanding you? You're not even talking. But this vote, it can't be true. Trish Chase for Figure of the Year? Why? How?
Yeah, give me that dang trophy, Mayor Aaron.
No!
Dude, shut up. What's with all the noise?
Ow!
Snap out of it. That new Scarlett got you in a trance.
Thank you, I guess, Co-Mayor Alexa. I was kind of stuck in a trance, but it felt more like a nightmare.
Was it the reoccurring nightmare where Dakota Kai turns you down for a date?
I don't know what you're talking about. But no, this was even worse. It was that Elite 88 Trish got voted for Figure of the Year at the Jillies.
That's not too bad.
Oh, no, my friend. It was the Chase version.
Never mind, that is horrible.
I know! And also, Scarlett Chase was my co-host.
Excuse me, who was the co-host?
Oh yeah, Scarlett Chase was somehow my co-host for the Jillies. But I have to tell you, I think she used her, Jedi evil mind tricks and somehow changed the vote.
You know I'm winning that dang vote to be your Jillies co-host. I'm not gonna let some demon-possessed broad take that away from me.
Yeah, well, either way, I better get going with this review of Elite 92 Scarlett. However, I am gonna wear my priest necklace to protect me from whatever evil powers this figure has.
Just don't look at her eyes again. Mayor Aaron, stop.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I did it again. It's hard not to daze into these eyes. But let's just get going with this review, okay? Don't look at the eyes. Don't look at the eyes. Okay. Welcome to LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures, make sure to hit subscribe and also hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss the next women's wrestling figure review, because I have a lot of exciting ones coming up. And today we're going to be reviewing Elite Series 92 Scarlett. So truth being told, I got Scarlett and Charlotte together, both today, but I'm going to review Scarlett first, because this Charlotte is my daughter's, but I do have another one coming to review. So also, I think I'm going to do a giveaway for a Scarlett, so stay tuned to the LumberJillville Instagram page. And yeah, I'll probably be doing a giveaway for an MOC Scarlett coming up. So with that being said, I'm really excited for this figure, especially after just reviewing the basic 128 Sasha. You know, just first look at this, there's a lot going on here, so let's check it out. Alright, so now let's take a closer look at the packaging. Now, this is that new Elite style packaging that we first saw in Elite Series 89. And I'll be honest with y'all, I think I still prefer the previous style that we saw that had a white overall color scheme and had more of a boxy shape. Now, they did make changes to that through the years, like adding an image of the superstar and also adding that certified authentic logo on the front that was kind of controversial. But I did really appreciate how the overall presentation of that box looked. Now here, this looks cool. Don't get me wrong. It looks freaking awesome. It definitely looks neat, but I haven't adjusted to it. So give me some time and maybe eventually I'll prefer this over the previous style that we've seen. But taking a closer look at it here, we have a blue and black overall theme with red accents in contrast to the new basic packaging, which is a red and black theme with blue accents. But I do prefer the new basic packaging over the previous basic packaging. Here I'm just getting used to it. Now, the one thing I really don't like about this new style packaging is this giant WWE logo in the corner on this piece of cardboard, this kind of flap. It really covers a large portion of the window. And even if you look from the top here, we have visibility from the top, which we don't really get a lot, but it's inhibited by this flap, and it definitely covers a large portion of that window in the front. So I really wish it was more open in the front, but it's really not a huge deal. Now, we do see Scarlett herself in a really cool pose inside the box with her accessories. We'll get to the figure next. Now, moving on, we have an image of Scarlett on the front with her name there. We have that image blown up on the side. And on the other side, we just have that certified authentic logo, which is really smaller than what we saw, in the last year in that big circular type design that was kind of controversial. So that's cool. We also have her name on the side. And on the back, what's cool is we have this large image of Scarlett looking stunning and beautiful as always. Now, what I found interesting is on the top, we have where she's from, we have her height, but we don't have a finishing move. Now, the previous women's elites in this new packaging had a finishing move listed, but unfortunately, WWE didn't have her wrestle. They didn't let her wrestle, and that was frustrating. She never got that opportunity, and she can go. I've watched her matches. She wrestled in Impact quite a bit and on the indies, and she can go, and I was just waiting for the day that they would let her wrestle, but they didn't, so unfortunately, there's no finishing move there. Now, what's nice is this little blurb down at the bottom here. It says, TikTok Scarlett warns everyone who steps in the ring with her gladiator. Karrion Kross, the end is here. Fall and pray. So I think that's really cool. And then we have the rest of the series here at the bottom, which is a very diverse Elite series. So with that being said, let me take her out of the box and we'll regroup. WWE Elite Series 92 Scarlett. This attire is from the December 9th, 2020 edition of NXT. On this night, as NXT champion Finn Balor was leaving the ring, Scarlett would come out and confront Finn. Without speaking, she delivered an important message. That message was that Karrion Kross's NXT return was imminent, and he was coming for Finn's title. The amazing thing is that Scarlett relayed this message without saying a single word. Her appearance alone and her mannerisms delivered the message clearly, and this is a huge reason why she was so amazing in this role. Alright, so my overall first impressions of this figure, to be honest with y'all, they're really good. Now, here's the thing. We all saw the same images of this figure when they were released, a couple months ago. And they weren't good. They really didn't do this figure any favors. The sculpt looked bad. The scan looked crazy. It was not good. But I promise y'all, trust me on this, that this figure is so much better in person. And that face sculpt is excellent. The scan might be a little wonky, but the sculpt is excellent. Now, we will cover that face in detail next, but I wanted to get that out of the way because we all saw the same images, and I think most people thought the same thing as to how bad it looked. But I promise you, this is one of those instances where having a figure in person, in hand, it looks so much better, y'all, and I'm happy to say that. But yeah, I'm really excited to review this figure part by part because it is so unique and there's so much going on. But first, let's cover the accessories before we look at that face. Now, she comes packaged with her open hands with those claw gloves. Looks excellent. But she also comes packaged with these closed hands or semi-closed hands. Now, what's interesting is she still has the glove on. But the type of rubber, I guess they use, or plastic, it's very flexible. You can really flex it, which probably allows her to grab hold of a lot of different objects and weapons and everything. So it's definitely really cool that it is made of that material. Now, the real kicker that she comes with, which is a completely unique piece, is this hourglass. Now, what's really cool is, yes, it does rotate. However, it actually doesn't have sand in it. You know what's funny is I thought there was a person in it, but it's the reflection of her. So there is no little person inside this hourglass. It is just empty. But either way, I didn't expect them to put a real hourglass in there, but that would have been a nice little addition to have some sand in there or something. But either way, we have this really cool display piece that comes with her. So I'm pleased with my first impressions. Now let's take a closer look at that face scan. All right, so taking a closer look at her face scan, I know what y'all are thinking, and y'all are thinking, wow, her eyes look crazy. And I can't argue with you because they do, but that's what they were going for, kind of the wide open, intimidating look. But I do think they made them a little too wide open, maybe a little too big, honestly. Now, it is important to note, and this is something I've said in the past, is with these women's wrestling figures, a lot of times their facial structures are a little smaller, and that TrueFX face scan technology really needs to be printed on almost perfectly on that sculpt to look good. And to be honest with you, I think my scan might have been printed on a little bit off, but it doesn't ruin this figure. I do have more coming, so I will post an update if one of my face scans is printed on better than this one. But it does seem like it's a little bit off. I noticed the eyebrow kind of jets off and the eyes might not be where they need to be. But even so, I still think it looks good. Now, I know looking at it straight on, y'all might not agree with me, and I understand, but I promise you this is one of those figures that having it in hand, it looks so much better. And it's really bizarre because if you look at it there, for example, we look at it from the side, that's spot on, looks just like Scarlett. I mean, everything is spot on to how she looks. We look at it on the other side and not so much. So it's definitely one of those bizarre sculpts and scans where depending on which angle you look at it, depends on how much it resembles her. But like I said, you just have to have this figure in person because it's definitely a passable scan and the sculpt is a lot better in person. We definitely see her definitive cheekbones there, beautiful smile, and yeah, so that looks cool. Now we do have this black headpiece that's molded. I believe it's molded with the hair. Yeah, don't try to remove that. Okay, I don't think it's supposed to be removed. So we're gonna, okay. So yeah, that is supposed to stay with that hair. And that's okay because it looks really cool. But if you really want to take it off, you can. But there's definitely a slot where it's supposed to stay in there. Now, her hair sculpt is completely unique. And I mean, look at this sculpt, y'all. This might be my favorite hair sculpt they've ever used on an Elite women's figure. I love it. I think it looks awesome. We get that bright bleached white look, but on top of that, I mean, look how intricate that hair sculpt is. It's amazing. And then we get some kind of free strands that are hanging down toward the front. So yeah, just to have a little reference here. So this is obviously that Scarlett from Elite 92. And on the right here, we have that Basic Series 120 regular version scan. Now, to me, that scan is gorgeous. It is a great looking scan, but it doesn't resemble Scarlett in my opinion. You know, Scarlett's a beautiful woman, but I feel like this basic scan is kind of just that, a basic generic female, you know, pretty female scan. It really doesn't look a whole lot like Scarlett to me, but either way, like I said, I'm impressed. Looks way better in person. Let's take one more look at that angle right here where it looks awesome. Okay, now let's move on to this awesome attire. All right, so moving on down to this very awesome attire. Now, the first thing I am going to say is I think the Scarlett is going to take the prize to being my most unique women's wrestling figure in my collection. Now, I used to think that Elite 90 Reckoning was, but this one blows that out of the water. I mean, look how cool this looks. It is amazing. Now, this attire is great. But what's also awesome is the body sculpt. And not trying to be weird, you know, just trying to be accurate here. But the body sculpt that they did uniquely give to her really does accurately depict her features perfectly. So she's a very beautiful woman, drop dead gorgeous, and they did a great job replicating that in her body mold here. So moving on to the attire itself, I mean, the first thing you're going to notice is these awesome spikes that are kind of sticking out of her attire. And what I'm happy to say is they all kept their form rather nicely in the package. You see, they're a soft rubber type material, but I was afraid when you take this figure out of the package, I was afraid that these spikes would be kind of sticking in different directions or kind of droopy, but they hold their form rather nicely. It's a nice, soft, flexible rubber. And yeah, they look like spikes, so they did an excellent job on that little design. Now we have them covering her left shoulder completely, even to the back. And then on her right scapula area, we have another couple spikes sticking out. Also in her midsection, we have these lower elevated rubber spikes. So definitely cool. I do believe she had maybe a little bit more spikes on the right side here in real life, or at least closer to the shoulder. But obviously due to articulation, they did an excellent job replicating it the best they can. Now, something else you'll see is this upper body underneath those spikes is just completely painted black. But that works for this attire because it was a skin-tight black attire. So obviously the spikes are the most prominent thing that I'm glad they added. Now the black that's painted on has a little bit of a gloss to it, but overall it's kind of a matte type black, but it does work. Now moving on down to her hands, she has those awesome clawed gloves, and okay, yeah, it's almost the same as her semi-closed hands, to where the fingers are like a soft, pliable rubber material, so the whole hand is. So that's really cool. Definitely a different feeling hand than I've ever felt. And then she also has this little piece that goes around her wrist that simulates the gloves kind of rolled up. So that's a nice little additional detail that they added. Moving on down to the bottom here, the bottoms are just painted plain black in unison with the top here. And then she has these fishnets painted on. Probably the best they've ever done painting these and applying these, because it is very tiny and intricate, but look how clean it looks. And even on the back here, we have it kind of overlapping. That looks realistic. And if you look in her inner thigh, there's even some little spots. It looks like, look, like it might be torn a little bit. Like it's super lifelike, and the attention to detail is just astounding in my opinion with those fishnets there. It looks great. Now moving on down to her knees, she has these, okay, they're not knee pads, not knee sleeves. I think they're supposed to be a continuation of her boot, and it does a good job here. Obviously, it starts in the middle of her thigh, goes down over her knee, continues on into the boot, and then it goes down to this platform insole here. Now, the one thing I am going to say with this platform base is I expected the peg hole to be in this thicker portion, kind of near, the front of the foot, but it's on the heel. And that kind of stinks because when I was putting on the display stand, it was kind of making the foot wobble a little bit. But that's a very minor complaint because the platform mold is excellent, and it really does work how the boot kind of molds into the sleeve. It really does look like a really high boot. So I can't say enough good about this attire and this body mold. I could sit here and talk more about it, but I think I made my point. And yeah, this is like an 11 out of 10 attire and body sculpt and everything. So excellent. All right, now let's talk articulation here. Now, her head can move in all different directions. It's on that ball joint, but it's really not inhibited too much by that hair sculpt, which is very unique. Most women's elites are inhibited by the hair sculpt. Here we can look right, we can look left, we can go in circles, all over the place. Now with her shoulder, it's on a ball joint. She can go in all different directions. Now her left shoulder isn't even inhibited by those spikes. Like they did an excellent job with the material choice of those spikes. So we have full range of motion in that shoulder. We have an upper arm swivel. We have a double jointed elbows, which has been a nice detail in addition to the women's elites. Then we have that upper torso swivel. She can side bend, she can ab crunch, she can extend back and move in all different directions. She has that waist swivel. She has her hips on a ball type joint there in all different directions. She has an upper thigh swivel. It's kind of hard to see with that pattern there, but it is swiveling. We have a double jointed knee. Oh boy, that is a tight knee there, but it does bend. It just feels very sturdy. Doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything. Then she has a swivel at the upper part of her boot, even though this is all technically supposed to be her boot. But we do have a swivel up there, which is nice. Now, the ankle joint does plantar flex, it dorsiflex, and it does rock side to side, which I'm kind of up in the air how I feel about that because it does make the base of this figure a little wobbly, to be honest with you. But either way, the articulation is excellent and it is flawless. Alright, so now let's do a little comparison between all of Scarlett's figures released. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to say that I'm really glad that we did get this Elite, because I thought that Basic Series 120, which is a 2 on the left, was okay, pretty decent, but it really wasn't the quality that I wanted to see Scarlett done in. I mean, I remember saying ever since I saw her on TV, I cannot wait to have that woman in Elite form, because some of the attires that she wears, the character she portrayed, and she's just such an amazing talent that I've really been anticipating an Elite released of Scarlett. So I'm so glad that we got that. Now on the far left, we have the basic 120 regular version in that black bodysuit. In the middle, we have the chase version in that two-piece type look, and obviously we have that Elite. Now, without a doubt, without a question, the best figure is 1,000% that brand new Elite. I mean, like I mentioned before when I was covering the face scan, the face scans that they used on the basic Scarlett, I'm pretty convinced it wasn't even Scarlett that they used. It wasn't a very good sculpt. The scan was very generic. So the figure was a good placeholder, and honestly, I really did like this regular version basic. I believe it's in the top 4 as far as basic of the year in fan voting. So people tend to like it, and I really liked it when I reviewed it. I think it's a fine basic. They did a good job here with minimal effort put into it, releasing a pretty darn decent basic, okay? Now, what I have an issue with, oh, there they go, is the chase version. Now, the chase version was very different than the regular version, which is nice to see. And it's really nice that we have the additional details of her tattoos. And that's something we don't even really see in the Elite because it's under all those clothes. So it's nice to get those tattoo details. But what really bothered me about this figure is, you know, like I mentioned in the Elite, she has very characteristic, strong features about her. And on this basic, they didn't do her any favors. They just painted over a shirt mold for the upper extremities. So even though they gave her a two-piece, you know, look that she's wearing a two-piece, it looks really bad up close to the point where there's even a t-shirt fold that rolls into the top and goes into her skin. So it's pretty apparent that they just painted this, you know, skimpy type top on top of a shirt mold. So yeah, that was a huge letdown. And this is one of those figures that looks good from a distance, but up close you really start noticing the details, and there's just not a whole lot of features going on here, and that's a letdown. So yeah, I would 1,000% definitely go out of your way if you're looking to add Scarlett to your collection, and go for Elite 92. You know, spend a little extra if you have to, because I think it is leaps and bounds better than the basics, in my opinion. And here's one last look at Elite Series 92 Scarlett. Alright, so overall, I give WWE Elite Series 92 Scarlett an overall score of a 9.8 out of 10. Now, I know that is really high, but this is an excellent, excellent figure. I don't think there's ever been a women's wrestling figure that has had so much attention to detail, so much care, so much uniqueness, and so much love put into it that this figure to me is just, it's jaw-dropping. Its uniqueness alone puts it in a category all by itself. I mean, this figure is tremendous. It almost comes across as an ultimate figure, in my humble opinion here. Now, the reason it's not a perfect 10 is I do think that scan might be a little off. Now, anyone that saw images online probably thinks it's way off, but like I mentioned in my review, please take my word for it. Please take my word for it and don't miss out on this figure, because in hand, looking at it, it looks so much better in person, in my opinion. They did a good job here, but I do think it might be a little bit off. And that's why she doesn't get a perfect 10 or even higher, because she was close to that. Now, it is important to note that I do think that my TrueFX face scan might have been printed on a little bit off. So when I get my other Scarletts in the mail, I'll post an updated picture of the scan if I have a better scan in any of those ones, just to kind of reference to this. But yeah, in my opinion, this figure rules. It is an amazing figure, will stand out in anyone's collection. And I highly suggest you run, don't walk, to whatever online retailer you use and get this figure ASAP, because it is worth the price. I mean, this figure's tremendous and I can't say enough good about it. So I love it and I hope y'all get it and love it too. Thanks for stopping by LumberJillville. Women's wrestling lives here. For a first look at all future women's wrestling figures, make sure to hit subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any of my future women's wrestling figure reviews. Now, if you're watching this at the time of release, this weekend, January 22nd, we have the second annual Jillies Award Show, where a lot of the awards are voted by all of you, the fans. So we're really excited to get that video out, and the Treasure and I are also going to do a live stream, kind of a kickoff show beforehand. So I'll post details on Instagram soon, but I'm really looking forward to that. And then Sunday or Monday, I'll be posting the review of the Elite 92 Charlotte. So with that being said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great night, y'all.